Hello everybody, welcome to Sassoon Academy in Santa Monica, California. My name is Sophia, I'll be answering all your questions. We're here today with the one and only Tracy Sakositz, and she's doing a lovely bob for us. So.
Hi everyone, thank you Hairbrain for always having us. It's a pleasure to be here. And this is my gorgeous model Anna, and what the end result will be, and look in mind I think is always important, is a little lip length bob, but I want to have a little bit more to the internal dynamics. So I'm going to do an undercut, and so what I'm working is with just little vertical sections starting underneath the occipital bone and just lightly graduating it in. In the interest of time, I've cut the first side so you can see the shape that's taken on. She has a lovely head shape, so just get that little graduated edge really high up on the haircut, and then the bob length will hang over that later. So I think this is a great technique for someone that really wants their hair to be versatile. That hair being removed from the underneath in a separate shape on the underneath of this creates a freedom of movement and a freedom. She said to me, you know, I like it because when that hair's not there, I can pull the rest of the hair up and get a different look out of it really easily. So just working to the bone structure, most important when you're working very close to the head shape. So flattening where the head shape's really wider, and then just gently coming in and tapering in, following the beautiful contour of the neck. Not too tight in the hairline. I'll work the hairline later.
So we have lots of hellos, one from Wayne, some from Bristol, UK, Lena.
Hi guys. It's always nice to have your friends on the other end, isn't it? Okay, so really clean, sharp sections, that's the way to get through this. I know in the salons, one of the questions I get is, you know, I'm pressed for time. Pressed for time, you know, can I take bigger sections? I'm pressed for time, do I have to take sections at all? And the answer is no to bigger sections, and yes to sections, period. I think if you're going to do something that's precise, do something specifically like this, that's fit to the head, done and executed really in a crafted manner, something that we'd consider to be a precision haircut, the sections get you there. The sections don't necessarily create a time restraint or take any longer. I think if you don't take sections, there's a lot of time used to correcting weight distribution. And the sections help you to control your weight distribution, if that makes sense. So you kind of cut and you go to your next section, cut, go to your next section, all the way through. And when you're done, you're done. And you shouldn't have to backtrack or go back and fix anything, especially if you're just cutting. And you know, if you see what I do is I just sculpt the hair to the head and just make sure that it's sitting as I want. And if I just see that hair sit nicely, you're finished there and you can move on. And I think that backtracking is sometimes what sets us behind when we're in the salon. So the sections are a key to it all. They're your roadmap. They get you from A to B. Okay, so just really, you know, fingers on the head. I can see where the head is bulbous, coming out and graduating right where the head shape bevels away, flattening where the head shape is most bulbous, and then just gently tapering in. The shape, I'm working against the head shape, so I'm not following it. I'm drawing the hair all straight back. What that's going to do is gain length behind the ear. You know, and if you're talking classic terminology, this is what would be called a square graduation. So the head rounds, and I'm working against that roundness. It's all about texture with short hair. Yeah, Sophia, question.
We just have a little Sassoon nostalgia question here. Gino is asking, is this a version of the White Winter haircut?
It's in a similar vein. Yeah, good question, Gina. And the White Winter was a modern graduated bob. It was an undercut graduated bob. So it was graduated with little sections like a graduated bob. The weight was built up very low, and then it was layered above it, and the two areas didn't connect. So very similar. Good one, Gina. Is that Gina from New Jersey?
It is Gino.
Oh, Gino.
Oh, it just says Gino Souza.
Cool.
But also your partner in crime, Richie Rivera, says hello.
Look at this color, Richie. I'm going to reveal the color later because it's really beautifully done. The color is very vibrant, very bright, very young, very cool, which is all the things that Anna is. So just really coming in neat and clean. The sections also, to go back to them, is just if you take a new section to cut, and then you take some of the hair behind it as your guide. So I'm always working with like a combs width section, yeah? And if you think of it this way, the teeth of the comb, that width there, that's the guide. And the little spine on the comb, that width, that's the hair I'm cutting. So I always see my guide. And that gives me great control. It leaves, less room for error, less margin for error, which I think is also important when you're trying to stay on time in the salon or for Facebook Live or anything like that, where you want the best results in the time that you have. So you can see the guideline through, like tracing paper, and you can avoid the step of looking. When you look and move the hair to look behind for the guide, I think what happens a lot of times, I notice people shift with it as well, and then your over direction changes. So for anybody that might have just joined, we're here at Sassoon Academy, and we're here Hairbrain Live. One of our favorite places to be is connected with Hairbrain. Hosted by the lovely Sofia. Pan over to that lovely girl over there. And Sofia, actually, it's great to have you here, Sofia. Sofia, I miss a lot. She was a cosmetology student here. This space is a really special space because it's a cosmetology school, as well as an advanced school. And it's been my home for, 20 years or more maybe now. And there's been some great hairdressers that have come through here. And a lot of them through cosmetology like you, Sophia, huh? So tell us, where are you now, Sophia? Where are you working?
I work in the Beverly Hills location for Sassoon. So
New stylist is Sophia, so congratulations.
Thank you.
How's it feel?
Very surreal. It's like one of those things that you just thought never would happen, but it's the best feeling in the world, you know?
Now, I know there's a lot of people that are on that are novices to Sassoon and students of the academy and even team. But I think this is a great opportunity to speak to people that aspire to be hairdressers. And Sophia, I thought it would be good to just, what advice would you give somebody that's interested in a career in hair?
Yeah, I mean, for me...
Come over here. Yeah, come over here.
It was the moment that I toured the academy, honestly. It was like, okay, this is home, this is where I'm meant to be. Something clicks, you see the way that people cut hair is completely different than anything you've seen before. I mean, it's life-changing, it really is. And I honestly don't know where I would be if I would have never stepped foot in here. And it's a very special place, and I feel so lucky, so lucky to have chosen.
You stayed and never left.
I stayed and never left, and I never will.
Good. So the next Facebook Live might be you then.
Oh, goodness.
I'd love that. Yeah, I think when you first get in I love the cosmetology and working with the students. We had 7 people that just started with us 2 weeks ago. And I sat with them yesterday, and it's amazing. You know, some of them, they've never heard of hairbrains. And we talked about hairbrains. And some of them are, only see life in a salon, which is a great thing. But they haven't been exposed necessarily to anything else. And our industry is so amazing and vast and diverse. We talked about all those different opportunities in the world of hair, which was super cool. Because a lot of times I'm only talking, technique. But we're able to mold the future here, the future of hairdressing, future of individuals, and it's a really special place. All right, so you can see the graduation here, how that's flowing. A little bit heavy there, so I'm just going to check this. And a cross check is what you do, so you're just going to come up in here. And with short hair, you know, if it still has a little kick or a flick in it, it just simply needs to be shorter, especially in a hairline when you work a hairline. So barbering is a good exercise in learning how to get hair to sit when you work it naturally, meaning with scissor and comb and natural to the hairline. That's a great exercise to teach you how to get hair to sit nicely and sat in, graduated almost on the edges. And it teaches you how to really control length of hair so you can get the hair to sit in a really tailored, untextured way. That'll work later with the tip of the scissor, but we've just got to get it to not come away from the head at all and just sit in really in a tailored manner. So that looks good so far, I think.
So we have a question about what kind of comb you're using.
Comb, yeah, this is a Wise Park comb, which is our combs of choice. They come in every color or colorless. And the thing that's great about these combs is, one, I mean, when I train this kind of work, this really clean, technical precision hair cutting, I use the wide teeth to section, just gives you a cleaner section, and then the small teeth to actually cut the hair, which gives me a consistent tension. And so every time you notice the comb's always flipped, section to cut, section to cut. But they're great quality, and I think, you know, if you produce quality work, your tools should match.
So there's a question from a UK stylist. His name's Jahari. He's asking, do you recognize our NVQ qualifications so I could attend your ABC course in Santa Monica?
Yes, we do and can have international students from all over the world. Only here in the United States is there a license similar to NVQ, so absolutely he's welcome to come anytime and join us on an ABC or any other course that he's interested in. Or her, is it him? Her. Him. So, yeah, yeah.
And then what scissors are you using?
Famous question. I wish I made these scissors, actually. These are Hikari scissors. And I've used these for as long as I can remember. And these are the new Cosmos. Very simple scissors, straight blade, very nice tip, and beautifully made. So again, just a high quality tool to match the work that I try to do. Yeah. Okay, so we've got underneath little shape done, beautiful little, you know, textural shape with the little graduation in the edge. Just enough to leave some texture in the hair. Not so tight that it's sunk into the head, you know, and that's important. Length reads as volume as well, or width in hair. So you want to think about that. I didn't want this just off. You know, I wanted to have shape and texture. So I think a modern day bob is very versatile and could do lots of different things. So we want to think about each area independently, think about it flat and close to the head and dressed in a way that's very sassoon, but also we want to think of it in an editorial way as well when it's pulled out in a way. Okay, so this is bob here was last cut, this shape here was last cut by Marquez when he was here last. And I'm going to actually cut this with layers, which kind of sounds weird, but I want to layer the internal shape first to create texture, movement, a leaner silhouette, and then we'll take a look at the edge of the bob later. But I am keeping very much in mind what length I want the bob to be. So I'm going to start out with just working the hair straight back from the head. This section here, actually, it's hard to get back in, but it was a little heart shape. So it just came down slightly and then around. That was the underneath shape, so like that. So when I lift this up, you might see that little hook in the center. Okay, so I lift this up and I'm going to bring it out square, so straight back to the head. And I'm going to establish my length. You have to think about what you have here and where it's going to fall. So you just kind of visualize that. Now, without you guys watching, I would be doing this wet. But again, in the interest of time, and I think it's a nice effect to see it cut dry and right away see what it does. So there's your edge, and so layering it just gives you a diffused edge. So you don't see where the underneath is compared to the top. Yeah.
What does rolling your fingers do for the ends?
Well, I'm short, Randy, so the finger roll is more a necessity because when I want to elevate at a certain point, once my shoulder goes up, that means I'm forcing my body to do something it doesn't want to do. So once you're over your fingers, which is your barbering technique, your elevation becomes a little higher. Sometimes I think the conversation is, does this bevel the edges because the hair is wrapped around the finger? Possibly, yeah. I guess there's a little bit in that as well. But
it looks really good.
But in this case, yeah, it's just a good question. Yeah. So do both sides. Yeah, we work over our fingers like this when we're at the top of the head, but a lot of times people don't think to work this way when you get higher up on the head. That's for the same reason. Little bob edge in there, almost looking like a box bob. It's a faux box bob. And we're going to come to the sides now. So. Happy to answer any questions if anyone has any. I think that's kind of makes these things come alive. So when you go to come into your sides, what you want to do is pick up from the round of the head. So just like where a corner placement would be, you have to identify where the head is flattest. So the widest part of the back, the widest part of the front, and there's that space, that negative space. So that's where I section, and that's where I'll pick up as the guide to bring it into the sides. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, over the fingers in this case. Let's get that lifted. Let me tilt you a little bit.
So now someone's asking where you purchased your comb.
Purchased this comb right here in this building, but they also can be found on the pro shop on hairbrain.me, right? Hair, yeah. Put the hairbrain, yeah.
Nice, isn't it?
So you just might want to go through this a couple times just to get your length right where you want it. We're going to work on the edge of this haircut later. I'm kind of working in reverse. Most of the time a layered bob would be edge first, cut the line first and then do the inside. Okay, so I'm going to take these sections, just about a finger's width section. And I'm going to take that section independently of the other. And I'm going to go straight up now. Now I want to think about where that's going to fall. I want it to fall into the edge. About lip length again is where my line's going to wind up. So we're going to bring this up. You can lift this up and check and see. You're about fingers width past what you've just cut.
So I have a couple of questions.
Mm-hmm.
The first is, are you over-directing the hair at all?
So the hair is being lifted straight up to the ceiling. So this hair is being layered, so yes. Over-directing forward and back, no. But elevated straight up to the ceiling. So just against the head shape, that just folds down onto the other hair. Again, it's all about having all these things have like a seamless flow from one to the other, so you don't see where anything stops or starts. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, and that pretty much answered the other question, which was, doesn't holding the hair that way change the length and elevation?
Yeah, it could. It's about the length that you cut it, whether it comes up around the ear or not. So this is a technique actually done for our latest collection. Right now, the technique that I'm going into is called reverse layering. And it layers the hair out, but I was telling Sophia earlier, it's cool because it layers the hair out, but it actually looks graduated when you're done. So it's layered, and Randy and I were talking about too. So there's what I just cut. And then what we're gonna do is come past that. How much? It depends on where you want this to sit. So you have to envision that. You have to envision that length and where it's going to fall. I want it all to fall in the range of the ends of the hair to fall in the range of the lip. And I'm going to continue that way. So about fingers with sections. Big finger, not my finger. Pick up your previous. As soon as it drops out, that's where you're going to start assessing your length.
So we have some questions about the color formula.
Oh yeah.
So we have Gina McCormick over here, color instructor at Sassoon Academy.
Hi Gina, come on in, because it's a perfect spot right now because it's out there, that color. And the two colors together are three colors you have in here, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so hi everyone. Anna was in the mood for something very vibrant today, and so we went in with some wonderful Wella Magma Limoncello, and I actually placed it over pre-lightened hair and used it as a toner for the panel with 1.9% developer. The rest of the color is toned with Color Touch, equal parts level 10 gold and a level 8 neutral, just to create a nice backdrop for the beautiful, vibrant yellow panel.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. I mean, all three colors together are so complementary. How about bleach? Can you tell us a little bit? I mean, Gina, you work here. You teach cosmetology a lot. We talked about cosmetology, and the students are really lucky to learn this level of technique so early on in their stages. I hope they understand how lucky they are to be with you. But tell whoever's watching, you know, the bleach, getting the bleach right so you can get these beautiful palettes, pure and clean, roots to ends.
Yeah, absolutely. So bleach theory is a really important part of our color curriculum. Our students spend 6 weeks straight, 6 weeks continuously, in theory before they even touch models' hair. So as far as bleach theory, we teach using bleach along with techniques so that we can rely on strong technique instead of strong developers necessarily. Yeah, so we try to achieve the same results but maybe taking finer sections, using back-to-back slices, creating lift through the way that we, through our techniques rather than product reliance all the time. Yeah, I'm actually teaching cosmetology right now and we're on bleach theory. So they're really excited. We're starting on our mannequins and then we're moving on to real people.
Yeah, and our guys they get to experience real clients really pretty quickly once the theory's done. And that's important too, because, I mean, one of the conversations that I think is a good conversation that I was having with Anna earlier was how, you know, it's great to do hair in a really high level, in a very precise way. But I think what a lot of, Anna said this to me, what a lot of people don't really realize about Sassoon is how intuitive they are and in tune they are with the individual that they're working on. So, you know, a lot of people, I think, clients or consumers bring in a picture and they're like, oh, I want to be this and I want to be that. And most of the time they'll get it without any adaptation. And one of the things that Anna identified was that we really make it about the individual. And that is Sassoon, I think, being very in tune with the individual that you're working on, using that, you know, I exhaust technique. I love to be as clean as possible with hair. But I think my inspiration always, first and foremost, comes from the individual I'm working on. And so Anna was a good example today because she came in with some color pictures that were like pretty strong, like all over, full heads of green and yellow and pink and, you know, pretty powerful all over, almost DIY looks. And we talked about it having the importance of it being that powerful of a color or look, because that's the right thing for her, but it being absolutely underpinned by technique. So it had that expensive, rich, you could be young and cool and very luxurious, I think. Mm-hmm. So I think we got it. So well done, Gina. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you. So it just takes the bob through.
There's a question for Gina as far as the color goes. Everyone loves the color.
Yeah.
Scott is asking, how long does the lightning application take with the low developer, and how often does she remix product working that way?
And that was from Scott?
Yes.
Scott, that is an absolutely perfect question. As far as the amount that I mix, I don't mix more than about 20 grams of bleach typically, and I mix with a 1-to-2 ratio. I like to remix at least a new bowl for the front. So I section my bleach and tones generally in 5 sections. Anyway, so the back gets 1 bowl and then remixing fresh for the front. It's 20 volume. Anna started off at a level 6. So she didn't have that much of a journey to make, but still, even with that, remixing fresh allows me to keep my developer a little bit lower. And again, the finer sections too. So it takes me a little while to get through the retouch process, but worth it. And I invite my models to come back every 5 weeks so that we're working with a little bit of a smaller regrowth, and that also allows the hair to lift really well. Thank you for the question.
So this is the smaller side. This is the side. Ooh, sorry, Anna. That's okay. I just talked about that tonight. This is the smaller side, so it's only 3 sections. As soon as that drops out, you can go through. I don't necessarily want the layers are in the inside of the haircut and come through the underneath. So, you know, when you choose that length, again, you have to just look to know and see and predict where the hair is false. And you can also just drop, you know, before you cut it, like any time, you know, just drop it down before you cut it and bring it back up to check. The squeakiest chair in the house.
Somebody's asking about the size of your sections.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So why are they so large is what she's saying.
Oh, they're large.
I think they were wider than they were large.
Yeah, I think in this particular technique, it's disconnection, number 1. The sections are about, I mean, bigger, a little bit bigger, but fingers width sections is what we're working with. So they're a little wider than my fingers, because her hair is finer. And that becomes a piece of its own, a technique of its own. So when we lift this up, let's see if I can get this to do it. I have to maybe do it, Randy, from the front. Let's see if we can show them. And so it's almost like channels. It's almost like channels. Let's get this piece of yellow. Not many, just a few. So my square layer is there. Concave layer there. There, there, and that's the last one. There. That's part of the other side. So it's almost like steps. We've got a flat shape, and then we've got that, and then we've got that, and then we've got that in it. What that does is just create all this texture on the edge of the hair, but keeps it quite heavy on the top. So hopefully that helps. I mean, very small, tiny sections in the back for the graduation, but this technique specifically is about fingers width sectioning. So hopefully that answers the question. So I have a little bit of hair that hangs over from the crown. One of the techniques that I use, or one of the little tricks that I use, is I make a little triangle from the round of the head back. In this case, it's asymmetric because we're on this low side parting. And then I would just check that in on its own so it doesn't hang off. This is that jumpy crown situation. So just hold the hair more gently. I'll tie it right into that guide. I do this on my bobs too, my classic bobs too. I just will take that bob section, comb everything down, and check it into the line like that. And on my graduated bobs as well. So what happens is, because what you don't want to do is lift it all up at the back, but this, if you layer it a little bit too much, it hides underneath and you don't change the sides. So it sneaks it in there. Does that make sense? So the triangle piece is an important little tip to that. So that nothing hangs over in the middle there. See that? Just all disappears. Again, undercut for those who haven't or just tuned in. Underneath is cut. And then there's a little layered bob shape that's sitting over it. Okay, I'm going to work my outline now. Still lifting it because I still want it to be softer and looser. So you just take your bob sections. You could do this first. I just think it's sometimes more of a challenge. I think it will be looser too if you do it second.
Somebody's asking about her parting, and if she can part her hair to any side, or is it cut to a certain side?
Yeah, good question. I'm cutting it to the parting, which is a very low side parting. Anna has a pretty wicked calic, right where I just put that clip, and I'll show it to you guys in a minute. But just because of the way it's layered, creating this versatility to the hair, it's going to be cool worn around. And we talked about it with the color placement of how she wears her hair, not just in that low side parting, but sometimes she dresses it back. Sometimes she changes the parting and wears it to the other side. So because it's layered the way it is, that's possible. And it'll get a completely different look that way as well. Good question, thank you. And what I like to do is kind of after we close the Facebook Live, later I will post some pictures of Anna with her hair in different ways. A couple selfies maybe. Those are always good to show. I love to see how people see themselves. And we'll post that so they can kind of see it worn in different ways as well. I'll move it around when I'm done. So I'm just checking to make sure nothing hangs over the edge in that layered way. And that front piece I'll work on the skin with. The front of the ear, I want to just tap into it on the front of the skin. So I think, we've talked about like Sassoon just being known for doing really beautiful, beautiful hair. And I think a bob is a really quintessential Sassoon look. So every year the team focus on different ways of cutting a similar look, which is important because balance and proportion changes with time, and it should. So a geometric bob that was done in the 60s was fuller and rounder and even had like a set in the crown, because hair was coming away from being set. And now a bob, people want it to be versatile. They're longer, they're brushing the shoulders. And if they're short, they're movable and wearable and versatile and editorial, not just geometric edged and only being able to be worn in one way. So we'll always have a bob, like Chanel has the Chanel suit, so you'll always have a bob that has a technique behind it that's right for the moment.
Everyone just can't stop saying how they love the look, they love the color, the cut, and the big star also is your comb. It is a bias Park comb.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And
My invisible comb.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't even see it. Yeah, so now just where the hairline drops down, I'll show you guys in there, right where the hairline drops down. So when you layer the hair there, that's going to drop down. So knowing that, you're just going to change that shape. It's just that little exact shape of the hairline right there. Yeah. So I just go in and point into that gently. Still keep that loose edge. You want to go at it blunt because then all the work that you did in the layering just goes away. And then I always put a C shape in that front edge before I cut it. Keep it cut behind the corner of the eye. So that you get that really nice little shape to it. And then, I use a lot of tension on hair, so which is fine even for things that you want loose. But I always do my final check with the tension, just to make sure I don't miss anything. Loose but clean, textured but clean. I love the line of the color coming through, the like really creamy yellow highlights.
I think something that was really eye-opening to me when I went to school here was the whole refinement part of a haircut. Like, I think the normal person thinks like, you just do the cut, blow dry, it's over, and this is really where all the beautiful stuff happens,
Yeah, the last 20% of the haircut gives you 80% of the result, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So that's what that speaks to. You have your solid technique, and this is sometimes they call your signature. It's what makes the work that I do different maybe than you, Sophia. I'll see something slightly different in the detail of it that I would do for Anna. Or you just identifying what the texture wants to do when it's finished and dry. I am all about the return of the haircut. I mean, I love hair dressed, but it's been, I think, so long that we focused on dressing hair in every which way. And I think it has its place always. But I think there's a lot of people that have forgotten about how to cut hair really well, which means there's a whole clientele out there that's never had a great haircut yet. You know, not yet. They will, right? But, you know, and I think for me, we have to keep cutting hair interesting. We have to keep cutting hair done well, keep the craft of it alive, and introduce it to as many new hairdressers as possible and as many clients as possible, so the consumer is aware of what a great haircut is. So when they are ready to have one, even if they have long hair, they'll have one. They'll ask for one. They'll know what to ask for, you know? So I'm just going to get this behind the ear here. We're nearly there. How are we doing time-wise, you guys?
Great.
Yeah? Good. Oops, sorry. Take your camera out with my elbow. Change directions without telling Randy. Just have a little extra weight behind this ear that I don't want or need. Sometimes this is one of those things, sometimes like even if you're cutting long hair, if you pick the corner up from a different point. So for instance, if I pick the corner up from this point to take it through to the front, that's the length I'll get. I'll go really far back so you can see the difference. And if I pick the length up from this point, that's the length I'll get, even on long hair. So you've got to make sure you get it from the same point on both sides, and then you can nail your balance. Today was not doing it for me, the balance stitch, but as long as it doesn't stay that way, and the client walks out that way, you're good.
Gina Manaspi is saying hi to Tracy and Randy together.
Yeah, so here the question about could you wear it differently? You know, when you wear it over, you get more of an asymmetric side swept yellow fringe, which is cool. You know, so there the asymmetry comes through in there. And the other thing that I really love is just, I love Anna's hair back. So I thought that would be a cool way to dress this look. So I'm just gonna get a little product. Again, just working with a little graduated shape through the underneath. Let me go through that before I put any product in it. So let's just lift that up. So we have this just little graduated shape through the underneath. They technically cut. I'll get the little edge of the hairline after I dress the top. Vertical sections, building up the head shape, flattening out the fullest part, building the weight up where it rounds off. Heart-shaped section for the rest of the hair. And that hair was cut layered. So I started the first section above that, square layers, all the way through the back into the sides. And then what was left at the top, I used a reverse layering technique. So it's all completely disconnected and movable and versatile. I think it's cool. Get a little something in it. I dried it a while ago, so just get something in it. So if there's any last questions, I'm happy to answer.
Someone's asking, how do you grow your hair faster?
How do you grow fast? This could be worn at a lot of lengths, actually.
So cool.
So I like Sofia. She's my biggest fan. Just need to have her around all the time. Yeah, so the text, you know, it just gives you beautiful texture, this cutting technique, which if it was cut classically, go Bob, you wouldn't get the raw edge to it. You wouldn't get the separation that we get you wouldn't get the movement, the versatility. So that's, I think for me, I'd rather use my technique in the haircut to get the versatility of the look, and get 2 or 3 looks out of my technique and techniques chosen. And then you can get even more, 4, 5, 6, 7 with the once you start applying product. But if you only rely on product and finish, then that's all you have to work with, and that's all the client has to work with. And they don't have options for change with just a little brush or comb situation, you know? And the color just comes up really beautifully just by wearing it in different ways. Anna's pretty low maintenance, so it's just usually brushed back, tucked, right?
I love it.
See, there's that calic I spoke about. It's a good one. It's probably the best one I've ever seen, actually.
There you go.
But we used to get fringe in it, didn't we, Anna?
Short fringe.
Short fringe.
Short fringe.
We beat it into submission
Yeah.
at times. Hairline, real quick, for you guys. There's not much to do, but I love working on a hairline because I think sometimes it's less is more approach is really good with something like this. And this is a good case. Our hairline naturally just falls into what we call a 5-point. And just start in that, just tip a scissor. I'm not going to take it too severe. It's nice natural. It's nice. What it's doing is good. Just needs to be a little tighter. So just enhance it. And just come up where it comes up and keep the hair longer where it goes down. And then, you know, some of the hair sometimes like that grows into a little swirl. It's very fine baby hair. Just get rid of that so the hair above it can lay down flatter. And you want to kind of see how it relates to everything. And just natural hairline. You can use the scissor and comb too. That gives a nice tension sometimes like this. Back of comb, tension. Just tap into it. You want to kind of get it evenly uneven. I think that's a good way of describing it. And just get that nice little shape that drops slightly down, little DA in the middle. With this little kick that's in there. Just checking the fingers. It's usually just weight that needs to. I'll usually go away. That's it. Simple. Simple little idea, still soft, pretty, kind of loose-edged bob. Okay, you guys, so I feel like I keep cutting, but I'm done. I'm just gonna do one more thing. All right, so I want to say a big thank you to Hairbrain for always coming to the Academy and allowing us to share hair on their platform, which is a great platform to always be on. And thank you all for tuning in to the Sassoon Academy. Thank you, Sophia, for coming over here from Beverly Hills Salon. Thank you, Gina, for this fantastical color. I can't say I've seen anything this good in a long time. And I think Anna's happy with it. So thanks all.